If like Dylan Borland or Matthew Brown or David Grush came to me and said, "What do you think? Would you challenge this thing? Would you take your chances?" I would flat out tell them no. And I know Dylan and I exchanged, a little bit about a little message back and forth on X about this, and he was very complimentary of me. And I think Dylan is a fantastic guy and he's been through enough, that sort of thing. Would I tell him, "Hey man, put it all on the line and let's hope that Kirk's right"? No, I would not tell him that. I would tell him, don't do it. And the main reason for that is that whole situation. Well, what if McConnell and Pogo is wrong about this situation? And then where does that leave you? That sort of thing. And the thing is, as an attorney, I could never advise my client to take that risk because if there is a lawsuit involved, and although the Supreme Court doesn't want to get involved, the composition of the Supreme Court right now is such that they would almost certainly side with the executive branch because Trump appointed most of them. So you can't do it. I mean, when the court's got a different composition, maybe you take that chance. Now, here's the other thing. You wouldn't necessarily have to be a whistleblower who brings the situation to a head. Congress could theoretically sue the executive branch for declaratory relief, which is basically like they're trying to get an issue decided as to the whole issue. Well, who does have the right to receive this information? It would be tricky and it would be involved. But here's the other flip side of that is it may not have to be Congress who does this. Because let's be honest, we're talking about the president of the United States, Donald Trump. And if somebody was to test this and Congress was to go to him and say, "We think we have the right to receive this information and screw you," that sort of thing, then he, and I see Whistling Mike is on here and he's messaging me, "Hey Mike, whatever you want to talk about, man, jump on in here. I'll be sure to answer this." But thing is, with President Trump, if Congress was to say, "We think we have the right to receive this information," and Trump said, "We're talking about Donald Trump here. He's not going to take kindly to anybody saying, 'We can do this and you can't tell us not to.'" You could get a situation where the executive branch would initiate this, and then you get the same sort of scenario. So it's a slippery slope and it's a tough decision. But yeah, I just think it's not realistic to expect any whistleblower, to come forward and just say, "Fuck it, I'm going to throw it all on the line. I think these guys are right. I'm going to go into this skiff. I'm going to, say everything I know and hope that McConnell and the rest of these guys are right." They probably are. There is a lot to believe that Congress's Article 1 powers are at least comparable to the Article 2 stuff. But again, it's so difficult because, yeah, I mean, Mike's asking what court system would that go through? What does that court look like in favor of signing? Yeah, this is what I was talking about, Mike. It has to go through the Supreme Court. And, based on the composition of the Supreme Court right now, you kind of like you're asking who are they going to side with? They're going to side with the executive branch right now. If you're going to go through that's sort of a scenario where you're suing somebody and, and it's the Supreme Court deciding this thing. Well, the ultimate question of who has the right to receive this information. Is it only the president? Is it the president and his designated appointees? Or does Congress have the right to receive that? And the thing is, if you press this issue to the Supreme Court right now with their composition, like I said, I think that they side with the executive branch. And that's too big of a risk for any of the whistleblowers, anybody like Mike, like Dave Grush, like a Dylan Borden, like a Matthew Brown. You don't set somebody up for that sort of thing. If there's a way to get that in front of a court where it's just branch versus branch and nobody's got their ass on the line, then, maybe you do that. But how do you actually get to that point? Only better than having a good lawyer is having a good judge on your side.